The story begins with a sudden, shocking event. One ordinary evening, as Earth scientists are working as usual, a strange signal is picked up by one of Earth's most powerful telescopes. It's not just a random blip or a typical space noise. This signal is different, far more complex and structured than anything seen before. The scientists are intrigued but also alarmed. They quickly realize that this signal is coming from a distant, mysterious nebula, light years away from Earth. But the most disturbing part, the signal seems to be coming from an ancient source, an ancient stargate system known to have been lost for centuries. This stargate system isn't just any relic. It's rumored to contain technology that could change the course of history. The gates are said to be capable of opening portals to distant star systems, bridging gaps between galaxies. This discovery could unlock the secrets of the universe, or worse, it could fall into the wrong hands. Earth's scientific community is immediately thrown into a frenzy. After decoding the signal, they realize that it's more than just a message. It's a key that could lead them to the lost stargates. As the team races to analyze the information, they are unaware that this discovery is not just of interest to humans. The Korani Empire, a vast and powerful alien race, has also intercepted the signal. Their advanced technology and vast fleets have made them the dominant force in their corner of the galaxy. They've been searching for the stargates for centuries, believing that whoever controls them will control the entire galaxy. They have the resources and the firepower to conquer any race that stands in their way. But the Korani Empire underestimated one thing: humanity. The humans, though technologically behind, have an indomitable spirit. And they've just unlocked the secret to one of the most powerful technologies in the universe. With the Korani now aware of the signal's origin, they send out their fleet toward the nebula, determined to reach the stargates before anyone else can. In the midst of all this, a team is quickly assembled on Earth. They're a diverse group of experts and military personnel, led by Captain Erin Mallory. Captain Mallory is a veteran, tough and pragmatic, having seen countless battles. She has the experience and leadership to handle the chaos that is sure to come. Alongside her are a team of soldiers, engineers, and scientists, each with their own unique skills. They are Earth's last hope to unlock the stargates before the Korani Empire can claim them. Captain Mallory feels the weight of the responsibility on her shoulders. This mission is about more than just uncovering a piece of lost history. It's about the survival of humanity itself. If the Korani gain control of the stargates, their oppressive rule could stretch across the universe. Humanity would never stand a chance. The team's journey begins as they prepare to board their ship, the Odyssey, a sleek, advanced vessel capable of traveling to the farthest reaches of space. They know that the road ahead will be treacherous. As they leave Earth's atmosphere, the crew exchanges tense looks, aware that they are heading into the unknown. The journey through deep space is long and dangerous, but it's nothing compared to the real danger that awaits them at the nebula. Back on Earth, the government scramble to gather more intelligence, hoping to learn more about the Korani Empire and what they're up against. Meanwhile, Captain Mallory and her team are adjusting to the isolation of space, preparing themselves for the challenges that lie ahead. They know they'll need more than just skill to survive the upcoming mission. They'll need courage and determination. As they approach the nebula, the crew watches nervously as their ship's sensors begin to pick up strange readings. The nebula is unlike anything they've encountered before, an enormous cloud of gas and dust that seems to shift and change with every passing moment. It's beautiful, yet foreboding. It's as if the nebula itself is hiding something. And what's more, the closer they get, the more intense the signal becomes, almost as though it's calling them. Just as they're about to enter the nebula, Captain Mallory receives a chilling message. The Korani Empire has already arrived. Their fleet is just moments away from the same stargates that the humans are trying to unlock. The race has begun. The Korani, with their superior technology, will stop at nothing to secure the gates for themselves. But Mallory knows that the fate of humanity is in her hands. The team has no choice but to move forward, even though the odds are against them. A moment of silence fills the command deck. Everyone knows that this is it, the point of no return. As they push forward into the nebula, the first battle begins to unfold in the darkness of space. The Korani fleet is vast and powerful, their ships gliding through space with unimaginable speed and precision. Humans, on the other hand, have far fewer resources. Their ship is slower, less equipped, and yet there is something different about them. The Korani might have the technology, but humans have something they can't comprehend: a will to fight, no matter the cost. As they venture deeper into the nebula, they realize that the Korani fleet is not just watching them. They are hunting them. It becomes clear that the Korani will not let them reach the stargates. The Korani ships begin to engage, launching deadly strikes against the Odyssey. The crew of the Odyssey braces for impact, preparing for a fight that could determine the fate of the galaxy. In that tense moment, Captain Mallory makes a decision that will set the course of their journey. They will not back down. The stargates must be unlocked, no matter what it takes. The team has to push forward through the nebula, face the Korani fleet head-on, and unlock the ancient technology before it falls into the hands of their enemies. The race has begun. The tension on the Odyssey is palpable as Captain Erin Mallory and her team approach the nebula. The swirling clouds of gas and dust grow closer, casting an eerie glow over the ship's exterior. Everyone aboard is on edge. This mission, which started with excitement and hope, is now a race against time, and as they get closer to their destination, they know they aren't the only ones hunting for the stargates. The signal they followed has led them here, but it's not the only thing drawing attention. As the Odyssey emerges from the dense mist of the nebula, a chilling sight awaits them. The Korani fleet is already there. The massive ships of the alien empire, sleek and powerful, are scattered across the vast expanse of space like predators circling their prey. They have already found something: an ancient, hidden base deep within the nebula. The base is old, its design alien to human eyes. It looks like a relic of a long-lost civilization, untouched by time. But the Korani don't know exactly what lies within the base, only that it holds incredible power. They are investigating it, probing the dark secrets within, unaware of the dangers hidden inside. They'd been searching for this place for centuries, and now they believe their victory is within their grasp. Captain Mallory, watching the Korani fleet on her ship's monitors, feels the weight of the situation. The stargates are within their reach, but the Korani are already on the hunt. She knows they must act quickly if they want to beat them to it. But just as they are about to approach the ancient base, the Korani ships react. The enemy fleet, sensing the Odyssey's presence, shifts into attack mode. The sensors aboard the Odyssey flash with warnings as Korani warships lock onto their coordinates. "This is it," Mallory mutters under her breath, her voice steely with resolve. Brace for impact. The first attack comes out of nowhere. A Korani ship, sleek and silent, fires a powerful burst of energy from its main cannon. The blast hits the Odyssey's shields, sending a shockwave through the ship. The entire crew feels it, the hum of the shields reverberating, the screeching of metal as the force reverberates through the hull. Shields at 50%. The ship's engineer reports urgently, his voice trembling slightly. "Activate countermeasures," Mallory orders. The Odyssey's crew moves with practiced speed, quickly locking the ship into evasive maneuvers. The Korani fleet is relentless, and their firepower is unlike anything the humans have ever seen. The humans' weapons are primitive by comparison, but they have no choice but to fight back. A few blasts from the Odyssey's cannons go wide as Mallory orders a full power thrust to dodge another incoming Korani blast. "We can't keep outrunning them forever," she mutters to herself. She knows that they can't afford to lose the element of surprise. Their ship isn't built for these kinds of battles. It was meant for exploration, not combat. As the battle rages on, the crew works tirelessly, pushing their ship and their skills to the limit. Sergeant Bonner, a battle-hardened soldier and Mallory's closest friend, is at the front lines. He's leading the team of soldiers aboard the Odyssey, coordinating ground operations, though the ship's technology is struggling to keep up with the Korani's advanced weaponry. Bonner's team is focused on the mission: get to the base and secure the stargates. But just as things seem to be turning in their favor, disaster strikes. A Korani warship, larger and more heavily armed than the rest, locks its sights on the Odyssey. The ship launches a devastating barrage of missiles, and despite their best efforts, the Odyssey's shields begin to fail. "Captain, they're hitting us hard," the engineer calls out. "We can't take another direct hit." Mallory clenches her fists, her mind racing. "Prepare to engage at close range. We'll take the fight to them." She knows this is a risky move, but with the Korani gaining ground, it's their only chance. The Odyssey hurtles toward the Korani ship at full speed. The crew holds their breath as they prepare for the deadly close-quarters battle ahead. The Korani ship looms closer, its massive guns primed to fire. The moment before impact is tense. The Odyssey swings into position, narrowly avoiding a direct shot. But in the chaos, Bonner and his team are caught in the crossfire. A missile explodes nearby, sending debris and shrapnel flying through the air. Bonner, always the first to jump into action, pushes his team to safety, but in the process, he takes the full brunt of the blast. "No," Mallory shouts as she watches the explosion unfold on the monitor. Her heart skips a beat as she realizes what's happened. She doesn't have to look at the damage reports. She knows the worst. Bonner is gone. Her best friend, the one who had always been by her side, the soldier who had fought so fiercely for humanity's future, is lost. There's a long pause. The ship's crew, who had heard her cry out, is silent. The loss is felt by everyone, but none more than Mallory herself. Bonner had been the glue that held the team together. His loyalty, his courage, his unwavering belief in humanity had been a beacon for everyone around him. Now, that light was gone. But Mallory knows she can't afford to grieve. Not yet. Not when they are so close to victory, and the threat of the Korani still looms large. Bonner would have wanted her to keep fighting. With a grim determination, Mallory orders the attack to continue. "We fight for Bonner," she says through clenched teeth. "We finish this, for him, and for everyone." The Odyssey crew, despite their sadness, rallies together. The battle grows more intense as the humans push forward, using every ounce of their strength and ingenuity to hold off the Korani. It's a fight they should never have been able to win, but the humans fight with something the Korani lack: a fierce, unbreakable spirit. They fight not just for survival, but for the future of their species. The Korani fleet is strong, but they underestimate humanity's resilience. As the battle rages on, Mallory and her crew manage to disable several Korani ships, forcing them to retreat. The Odyssey is battered, its systems malfunctioning, but it stands. The team has secured a temporary victory, but it comes at a heavy cost. Mallory stands at the bridge, looking out into the dark expanse of space, her face set in a grim expression. The Odyssey limps toward the ancient base, the mission now more personal than ever. With Bonner's death weighing heavily on her, she knows there's no turning back. The fight for the stargates has only just begun. The Odyssey crept silently through the dense nebula, its lights flickering faintly against the swirling clouds of cosmic dust. Captain Aaron Mallory stood on the bridge, her eyes focused on the dark expanse ahead. The ancient stargate, now visible before them, was unlike anything they had seen before. Massive and weathered by time, it seemed almost like a relic, a forgotten door to another universe, waiting to be opened. The team had spent hours analyzing the structure, trying to understand how to activate the gate. Mallory felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The stakes were higher than ever. Behind them, the Korani Empire was closing in, and time was running out. They needed to unlock the gate before the enemy could use it for their own purposes. "This doesn't make sense," Mallory muttered as she examined the glyphs etched into the stone-like surface of the Stargate. The markings here, it's as if it's a code, but we don't have the key. Her chief scientist, Dr. Ava Jenkins, stared at the symbols as well, deep in thought. It's more than just a code. It's alive, somehow. These markings are responding to the ship's energy signature, but we don't have enough data to decipher it completely. Frustration hung in the air like a heavy cloud. The gate was so close, yet they couldn't seem to figure out how to unlock it. The crew, though tired and battered from the earlier battles, was focused. They knew this could be their last chance to change the course of the war. But without the proper knowledge, they were stuck. That's when Zorath made his entrance. Zorath was an ancient alien scholar, one of the few survivors of a race that had once stood against the Korani Empire. He had been hiding in the shadows of the galaxy for centuries, watching as the Korani conquered world after world. He had knowledge that the Korani feared. He was the key to unlocking the Stargate, but first, they needed to find a way to convince him to help. Zorath had appeared on the Odyssey unexpectedly, an enigma wrapped in mystery. He had offered his help in return for a promise, his protection from the Korani, who were determined to capture him. His reasons for helping humanity were unclear, but Mallory didn't have time to question his motives. The Korani were hunting him, and humanity needed him to survive. "I've seen this before," Zorath said, his voice deep and calm as he approached the Stargate. "This is a forgotten gateway, one of many hidden across the galaxy. To activate it, you will need the rarest of cosmic elements. Elements that are scattered across the stars, far beyond what any of your kind have yet discovered." Mallory's eyes narrowed. "What kind of elements? Where can we find them?" Zorath's gaze drifted toward the far horizon of space, his expression distant, as if recalling memories from another lifetime. "The elements you seek are scattered among ancient worlds, planets lost to time. You will need to search for them, or else the gate will remain locked forever. The Korani have always searched for them, but they have never succeeded. Perhaps you, humans, might be the ones to break their curse." It was the break they had been waiting for. But just as the pieces began to fall into place, disaster struck. A transmission from the ship's communications officer interrupted their conversation. "Captain, we've detected Korani ships. They've found us." Mallory's heart sank as she turned toward the monitor. The Korani fleet had arrived in full force. They were not here for diplomacy. They were here for one thing only. Zorath. "Prepare for impact," Mallory shouted. "We need to move. Now." Before the Odyssey could react, Korani warships surrounded them, blocking their escape route. The enemy fleet was far larger and more advanced than anything humanity had yet encountered. The Korani had come to take Zorath, and they would stop at nothing to do so. "Captain, they're locking onto our weapons," Dr. Jenkins shouted, panic rising in her voice. "We can't outrun them." Mallory knew that they couldn't hold out much longer. Their only chance was to protect Zorath, who was the key to the Stargate's activation. Without him, the Odyssey and humanity's future would be lost. But the Korani were closing in fast. "Sergeant Yates," Mallory called, turning to the head of security, "Get to Zorath. We need him alive." Yates nodded, already gathering a small team of soldiers. They would be risking everything to protect the scholar. Mallory knew this was their last chance. With the Korani fleet firing relentlessly on the Odyssey, Mallory and the crew were forced to fight back. But Zorath's capture was imminent. As the battle raged on, a strange noise filled the ship's hallways, a sound like rushing air mixed with crackling energy. Something was wrong. "Captain," one of the soldiers yelled over the comm, "the gravity field is fluctuating. Something's pulling us toward the Korani ships." The Odyssey lurched as if caught in an invisible force. The ship's gravity systems were struggling to keep up with the strange force that was disrupting the normal flow of time and space around them. The Korani, using advanced technology, had activated a gravity manipulator, pulling the Odyssey toward their fleet. "Brace for impact," Mallory ordered, but it was too late. The Odyssey collided with the Korani ship's gravitational field. The ship shuddered, and everything was thrown into chaos. "We're going down," yelled Dr. Jenkins, gripping the nearest rail for support. The Odyssey began spiraling toward the largest of the Korani warships. Just as Mallory was about to give the order to abandon ship, an unexpected sound cut through the air. The hum of the ship's cloaking device activating. "It's Zorath," Sergeant Yates shouted from the control room. "He's using his technology to cloak the ship." Mallory's eyes widened in disbelief. "He can do that?" Zorath, the ancient scholar, had activated an ancient cloaking system, one that he had kept hidden from the Korani. The Odyssey disappeared from the Korani sight, slipping into the shadows of space, undetected. The crew had no idea how long the cloak would last, but it bought them precious time. "We're safe for now," Mallory said, relief flooding her voice. "But we can't stay hidden forever. We need to get those elements Zorath mentioned. If we don't, the Korani will catch up, and it'll be over." Zorath nodded, his eyes still distant. "We have little time. The cosmic elements you need are scattered. I will guide you, but you must act quickly." With the Korani fleet still hunting them, Mallory knew the fight was far from over. The Odyssey was still drifting, cloaked in space, but they had to move fast. There were pieces of the puzzle scattered across the galaxy, pieces they needed to unlock the gate and save humanity. And so, with Zorath's guidance, Mallory and her team set off once again. But this time, it wasn't just a race against time. It was a fight for survival against an empire that would stop at nothing to crush them. The Odyssey drifted silently through the vast emptiness of space. After their narrow escape from the Korani fleet, the crew had taken a moment to regroup, but the tension aboard the ship was palpable. Captain Erin Mallory stood at the command center, her mind racing as she gazed out into the endless void. The hidden Stargate was now within their reach, but what they had discovered about its true nature had turned everything upside down. The revelation had shaken Mallory to her core. Zorath, the ancient scholar who had once fought against the Korani Empire, had explained the true power of the Stargates. These weren't just simple portals for traveling across galaxies. They were weapons. Weapons capable of destroying entire star systems. The gates were designed by an ancient civilization, long gone, but their technology remained, powerful enough to reshape the entire galaxy. And now, humanity had stumbled upon this power. "Captain," Zorath had said, his voice grave as he shared the secret, "these gates can unleash destruction on a scale you cannot imagine. If the Korani gain control of them, they will destroy everything you know." Mallory's heart raced at the weight of the decision before her. She had always believed in the possibility of peace, of uniting different species under the banner of hope. But the Stargates were not just a means of travel. They were weapons, deadly, uncontrollable weapons. Destroy them or use them? Mallory's mind was torn. The Korani were ruthless and would stop at nothing to control the Stargates. They had the firepower, the resources, and the will to conquer. If the gates fell into their hands, the galaxy would be doomed. But if humanity controlled them first, they could use the power to fight back, to ensure their survival. Could she take that chance? Could she wield that kind of power without becoming what she fought against? She stood in the dimly lit command center, staring at the holographic projection of the Stargate in front of her. It was beautiful, yet terrifying, an ancient and complex design that beckoned with promises of untold power. Just then, the communication officer's voice broke through her thoughts. "Captain, we've detected the Korani fleet. They've tracked us down again. They're closing in fast." A chill ran down Mallory's spine. There was no time to make a decision now. The Korani were upon them. But even as she prepared to give the orders, another thought gnawed at her. The Korani didn't know the full extent of the gate's power. And now, they would fight to the death for it. "Captain, we need to move," Dr. Jenkins said, her voice urgent. "We can't risk letting them get any closer." Mallory's hands tightened around the console, her mind still racing. She had to make a choice, but the weight of that choice pressed heavily on her chest. As the battle outside grew closer, she knew she had no more time to think. But then came the moment that no one had expected. As the Korani fleet approached, there was a sudden flicker in the ship's sensors. An alarm blared through the Odyssey. A large Korani flagship had entered the vicinity, and this time, it wasn't just for a simple assault. It was a full-scale attack. "Captain," Sergeant Yates shouted from the bridge. "The Korani have deployed boarding parties. They're coming for us." Mallory didn't hesitate. "Prepare for battle. Seal off all access points. We're not letting them take this ship." The Odyssey shook as enemy ships fired upon them. But the real danger came when the Korani boarded. They came in waves, heavily armed and ruthless. The crew fought valiantly, but the Korani were relentless, pushing forward with terrifying speed. Amidst the chaos, Zorath approached Mallory, his expression calm but determined. "Captain, we are out of time," Zorath said softly. "There's no more room for hesitation. You must make your choice now." Mallory turned to face him, the weight of her decision pressing down harder than ever. She had always believed in the idea of diplomacy, of finding peaceful solutions. But the truth was clear now. This wasn't a battle for peace. This was a war for survival. "Zorath," she said, her voice steady but full of emotion, "what do I do? Destroy them? Or take control of this power?" Zorath's eyes shone with wisdom, his voice unwavering as he spoke. "The power of the stargates is not something you can control. Not without consequences. The Korani will use it to wipe out entire civilizations. But if you destroy the gates now, the Korani will never stop. They will keep coming always. You will never be free of them." Mallory closed her eyes, the weight of his words sinking in. She had never wanted to become like the enemy, never wanted to use such destructive power. But what other choice did she have? The sound of explosions echoed through the halls as the Korani boarded the ship, and Mallory knew her time had run out. The decision had to be made, now. As if reading her thoughts, Zorath stepped forward. "I will give you the answer, Captain, but it may cost me everything." Mallory turned to him in confusion. "What are you talking about?" Zorath's face was solemn. "I can help you unlock the full power of the Stargate. But in doing so, I will have to sacrifice myself. I will be the one to ensure that the Korani can never use it. You must make your choice quickly. There is no more time." Mallory stared at him in disbelief. No, there must be another way. But Zorath's face softened, his ancient eyes filled with understanding. "Sometimes, Captain, the greatest sacrifice is the one we make for the future of others. You must save humanity. You must choose to fight." Tears filled Mallory's eyes as she realized what he was saying. Zorath had become not just an ally, but a trusted friend. He had been with them through every battle, every hardship. And now he was willing to give up his life for them, for humanity's chance at survival. "No," Mallory whispered, "we'll find another way." But Zorath shook his head gently. "There is no other way. I am ready." And just like that, Zorath activated the Stargate's power. The ship shook violently as the energy surged, and the Korani fleet, sensing the power, attempted to break through. With a final look at Mallory, Zorath whispered, "Goodbye, Captain. May your people survive." In an instant, Zorath's life was consumed by the energy he unleashed. The Odyssey was propelled forward by a massive shockwave, sending the Korani fleet scattering in all directions. But the price had been steep. Zorath was gone, his sacrifice securing humanity's survival. For now, Mallory stood frozen, unable to speak. Zorath's death weighed heavily on her heart, and a deep sense of guilt filled her. But there was no time for mourning. The battle was far from over. With the Korani in disarray, Mallory knew that the war was reaching its climax. She had made the decision. The power of the Stargates would not fall into enemy hands, and humanity had a chance to stand tall against the Korani Empire. But at what cost? The future was uncertain, and Mallory knew that her next steps would shape the destiny of the entire galaxy. The Odyssey sailed through the endless expanse of space, a lone beacon in the darkness. Captain Erin Mallory stood at the helm, her heart racing as she looked out at the approaching Corani fleet. The time had come. After all their struggles, all their losses, humanity was now on the edge of a final confrontation with the most powerful empire the galaxy had ever known. The Corani fleet had arrived in full force. Hundreds of warships, massive and menacing, hung in space like a dark cloud ready to strike. They were angry, driven by their obsession to control the stargates and the power they represented. But what they didn't know was that humanity, after all their hardships and losses, had one last secret up their sleeve, a secret that would change the course of the war. "Captain," Lieutenant Diaz called out, her voice tight with tension. "They're closing in. We don't have much time before they strike." Mallory's eyes narrowed as she turned to face the crew. Her hand gripped the control panel tightly. The crew of the Odyssey had been through hell together, but now, it was time to end this. "Prepare yourselves," she said, her voice steady but filled with determination. "This is our final stand." The energy in the control room was electric as the crew scrambled to execute their plan. They had studied the ancient technology of the Stargates, had unlocked its secrets, and now they were ready to use it. The Corani had no idea what was about to hit them. With a final command, Mallory activated the Stargate, but instead of opening a simple portal, something unexpected happened. The gate hummed with power, its energy increasing exponentially. Suddenly, the entire Odyssey was engulfed in a blinding light as the gate shifted into a weaponized mode. The power that surged from it was unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. "What is happening?" Diaz shouted in panic, but it was too late to stop it now. The Stargate began to release massive energy beams, bright, focused, and deadly. In an instant, the beams shot out, tearing through the Corani fleet with brutal precision. It was as if the very stars themselves were bending to humanity's will, focusing their power into the beams of destruction. The Corani fleet, once so confident in their superiority, was now helpless. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes, their massive forms reduced to nothing more than debris scattered across space. The Stargate's weaponized power had triggered an orbital bombardment, raining down fiery destruction from above. The Corani had no chance to counter. They were being obliterated before they even had a chance to fight back. Mallory watched as the ships of the Corani crumbled, their once fearsome strength now nothing more than ash in the wind of space. The feeling was surreal. This was it. Humanity had taken control of the one thing that could defeat the Corani, and they were winning. For the first time, it felt as if they were truly in control. But victory came at a great cost. Amidst the chaos, the Odyssey shook violently as enemy ships fought back, attempting to retaliate with their own weapons. The crew was engaged in a desperate battle to defend the ship, but the odds were stacked against them. The Corani were not going to go down without a fight. "Captain, we've got incoming fire," Yates yelled as alarms blared. "They're trying to board us again." Mallory gritted her teeth. She had known this battle would be costly. As much as humanity had gained with the Stargate's power, the Corani weren't going to give up without a bloody fight. It wasn't just about their fleet anymore. It was about their pride, their empire, and their desperation. "Prepare for hand-to-hand combat," Mallory ordered, her voice rising above the noise. "We'll fight them off just like we always have." The Corani ships closed in, sending boarding parties toward the Odyssey. The air inside the ship was thick with tension as the crew readied themselves for the final battle. Guns were loaded, energy shields activated, and every soldier prepared for the worst. Mallory felt her heart beat in her chest, her mind focused. There was no turning back now. The battle was brutal. The Corani forces were relentless, charging through the ship's corridors with the fury of a cornered animal. The crew of the Odyssey fought back with everything they had, their weapons flashing in the darkness as they cut down Corani soldiers. The hallways became a battlefield, echoing with the sounds of combat. Mallory led the charge, her every movement driven by the memory of all they had lost. Sergeant Bonner's sacrifice still haunted her, but she knew that it had to mean something. His death, and the deaths of so many others, couldn't be in vain. This was for them. We can't let them win. Mallory shouted as she swung her energy blade, cutting down a Korani soldier who had managed to break through. Hold the line. But despite their bravery, the crew was losing ground. The Korani kept coming, wave after wave. It seemed like every moment someone else fell, sacrificing themselves to keep the ship in the fight. Sergeant Yates, ever the warrior, went down with a final cry of defiance as an energy blast hit him directly in the chest. The loss was devastating, but Mallory knew that there was no time to mourn. As the battle raged on, Mallory received a message from the ship's captain. The Stargate's energy reserves are reaching critical levels. You must deactivate the weaponized system, or the ship will be destroyed. Mallory looked up at the holographic display, her heart sinking. If the Stargate's power wasn't controlled, the entire Odyssey would be torn apart by its own destructive force. The energy was too much for them to handle. But in that moment, Mallory made a decision. If the Odyssey couldn't survive, she would make sure humanity's victory did. Continue the attack, Mallory ordered, her voice resolute. We're finishing this now. With one final push, the crew managed to destroy the last of the Korani boarding parties. But as Mallory ordered the final strike on the remaining Korani ships, a massive explosion shook the Odyssey. The energy from the Stargate's weaponized system erupted in a brilliant flash of light, lighting up the void of space. In that moment, Mallory knew they had won. The Korani fleet had been completely destroyed. Their empire had crumbled in the face of humanity's might. The Odyssey drifted in the aftermath, battered but victorious. The crew had done it. They had secured humanity's future in the galaxy. But the cost had been high. Captain Mallory stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars, the weight of the victory settling in. So many lives had been lost, her friends, her soldiers, but they had saved humanity. The Korani Empire was no more, and humanity had proven that, even against impossible odds, they could rise above and claim their place in the galaxy. With one final look at the stars, Mallory whispered, "We did it." The battle was over. The stars in the distance seemed to flicker gently, as if they were acknowledging the sacrifices made in the fight that had changed everything. The once mighty Korani fleet had been destroyed. Their empire crumbled. The Stargates, powerful and dangerous, were sealed, ensuring that no one could ever misuse their terrifying power again. Humanity had survived, but not just for themselves. They had changed the future of the entire galaxy. Captain Aaron Mallory stood at the observation deck of the Odyssey, looking out at the vast expanse of space. Her eyes, though tired and full of grief, reflected a sense of peace. The war was over, and the Korani threat was no more. But the cost had been high, far higher than anyone had ever imagined. Around her, the remaining members of the crew stood in silence. They had fought together through every trial, each one of them having lost something, whether it was a friend, a comrade, or a piece of their own soul. The scars of battle, both physical and emotional, would stay with them forever. But the knowledge that they had saved the galaxy, that they had turned the tide against an empire that seemed unstoppable, gave them a sense of purpose. Mallory's hand rested on the railing, her fingers lightly tracing the surface as she watched the stars. She thought of Sergeant Bonner, her friend, her loyal soldier, whose death had fueled the fire within her to fight until the end. The loss of so many good people weighed heavily on her heart, but she knew they had given everything for this moment, for this victory. "We did it," Lieutenant Diaz said softly, standing beside Mallory. Her voice was quiet, almost reverent. "The Korani are gone. We've won." "Yes," Mallory replied, her voice thick with emotion, "but not without a cost. So many of us didn't make it to see this moment." "I know," Diaz responded, her eyes searching the stars. But their sacrifices were worth it. They made this possible. The crew had faced impossible odds and had lost so much. Yet, they had not only defended their world, but had changed the fate of the entire galaxy. The stargates, once a powerful tool for destruction, had been sealed. The secrets they held would never again be used for evil. The Korani Empire, whose greed and lust for power had threatened the peace of the galaxy, had been vanquished. Mallory turned away from the observation deck and addressed her crew. "We've done something no one thought possible. We've destroyed the Korani. We've sealed the stargates, and we've secured our future. But this victory is just the beginning." The crew gathered around her, their faces reflecting a mixture of exhaustion and relief. They had seen the darkest of days, but now they could finally look forward to a future they had fought for. "We may have won the battle," Mallory continued, "but the war for the galaxy's future is far from over. The Korani were just one threat. There will be others. And now it's up to us to ensure that humanity is ready for whatever comes next." As Mallory spoke, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The battle had been fierce, but their victory had brought a new hope, a new beginning. The galaxy, once teetering on the edge of chaos, now had a chance to rebuild, to grow, and to evolve. Humanity had proven they were more than just survivors. They were fighters, protectors, and builders of a new future. The team, though battered and scarred, was united by this new purpose. They were no longer just defending Earth. They were defending the future of the galaxy. There was still much to do. There were countless worlds to protect, many alliances to form, and many challenges ahead. But humanity had proven their strength, their resilience, and their will to fight for what was right. Mallory glanced at Zoreth, the ancient alien scholar who had helped them unlock the secrets of the stargates. Zoreth's eyes, though weary, shone with a quiet respect for humanity. "You have done what no one thought possible," he said, his voice deep and reverent. "You have not only saved your world but the future of the galaxy. You have earned the right to shape the destiny that awaits." Mallory nodded in acknowledgement. She felt the weight of Zoreth's words. The galaxy had been saved, but it was also left at a crossroads. The path forward would require wisdom, strength, and unity. Humanity had shown that they were capable of defeating the greatest threats to their existence. But now, they had to prove they could lead, not just survive. The crew had seen the horrors of war. They had witnessed the destruction of entire worlds, the loss of comrades, and the pain of sacrifice. But through it all, they had remained steadfast. They had fought not just for themselves, but for the generations to come. And now, they had a chance to build something better. The Odyssey had become more than just a ship. It had become a symbol of humanity's strength and resilience. It was a reminder of everything they had lost and everything they had gained. And as they looked out at the stars, they knew that the journey was far from over. "We can rebuild," Mallory said, her voice firm. "We will protect this galaxy, not just from threats like the Korani, but from the darkness that lurks in the unknown. We will fight for peace, for justice, and for the future." The crew stood with her, their heads held high. They were a family now, bound together by the battles they had fought and the victories they had won. And with that bond came an unbreakable resolve. The Korani may have been defeated, but humanity's journey was just beginning. As the Odyssey drifted through space, Mallory felt a new sense of purpose fill her. The war was over, but the galaxy was vast, and there were many more challenges to face. And together, with her crew by her side, she knew they could face whatever came next. "We've won the fight," Mallory whispered. "But now we have to make sure the future we fought for is worth it." And with that, they set their sights on the stars, ready for whatever lay ahead. The galaxy's future was uncertain, but humanity was no longer just fighting to survive. They were fighting to shape the destiny of the galaxy.